of after that thinking, yeah, that's the win condition, and then getting a little greedy from then on. I think that they've probably watched back that quite a bit and have hammered out some of those mistakes. Just a prediction of mine. Predictions on y'all's side, 72% of you saying Dog Walker's victory. A lot of Reconic fans out there, I gotta say as well. We're still getting started on Layer Cake though. A little bounty action to kick us off.
I'm excited to see them play some Bounty too. Again, Dog Walkers, we both mentioned this at times, but they're some of my favorite players to watch. I think their drafts are really fun. They play what they ultimately like. And we had a lot of fun last month kind of chatting with Patchy in the interview, talking about what the mentality is behind the team. This is a team that's not afraid to get angry with each other, to get emotional with each other. It's like a brotherly kind of relationship, right? They're very open and honest, and sometimes they even pick brawlers that the other person doesn't like. At the end of the day, though, we still saw them win with the Mortis on Bounty. Do we see it here on Layer Cake? I would be shocked. But since it's Dog Walkers, I'm open to just about any brawler showing up here.
Yeah, pretty much same mentality on my side. Like, what do the Dog Walkers pull out of the bag of tricks this time? Well, it's going to be quite limited. They are facing Meg, and that's a difficult brawler to deal with. We've seen how effectively it can be dealt with, though, without specific counters. We saw it replicated in NA East, and now it might be time to bring it over West. Dog Walkers still have one more selection to pair up with this Penny, which is a very consistent, very safe brawler, but they also need to be thinking about what exactly do they bring to the mid-fight. They've gotten rid of one of the best ones, in fact, two of the best ones, Tick and Gene, so their options might be kind of limited here.
Yeah, definitely a strong choice of Penny here. Meg on the other side, we've said before, it's a force to be reckoned with, and it feels like a very similar start to a lot of drafts we've had throughout the weekend across the world. We see a Meg, a Penny, and a B in some form, shape, or fashion in those top three picks. To me, it doesn't really seem like there are any overpowered brawlers in Brawl Stars, and that's kind of the consensus I got coming into the weekend from at least the pros that I got to speak to. But Penny, B, and Meg, of course, going to be at the top of that kind of tier list that we've said a lot tonight. It's just what it is, right? Meg getting a big boost. We saw Amber get a boost as well. There's some other brawlers kind of lurking. RT got a little bit of a balance change, but is still around too. I think these are just the brawlers we're getting used to, and they're locking those up pretty quickly. Shine picking the Sprout, though, definitely a good one for this map.
Certainly so. Got to be thinking about what are some brawlers that can fare well in close range versus both Meg and Sprout. And that, I think, is what Dog Walkers are going to select for their final option. I do believe that counter pick is the way to go for them, not just to play things safely and consistently. It's also pretty in line with the brand, the identity that Dog Walkers have cultivated surrounding themselves. This, I'm not so sure about, but I'm strapped in for a fun ride.
Oh, let's do it. Shelly's here. She's even better than before. I've seen her practiced a ton in NA. Oh, I'm excited to see what she can do. This is not an intuitive matchup in my mind either, Ready. It will do well if they can get close to Grom, but I'm really curious, man. Just because you get a boost of Shelly, it's still Shelly, right? Not the easiest thing to do. No natural counters here, I would say, either. Sure, they can whip out the clay pigeons and be a long-range brawler for a hot second here, but I don't know if this is the spot I would have thought to bring in Shelly.
If anything, I will say it's a nice way for them to deal with a brawler that gets up close, personal, can deal with Meg, can deal with Sprout in close range. Problem is that they're, gonna have to face some pretty long-range brawlers. Patchy has some wall break available to him too, which could pose issues later down the line, but no major wall break for counter to face versus, which I think will be a great asset to him. Let's see if they get that blue star to start off the game. Shelly is pretty fast, but she's not going to get that easy avenue up to mid. Shine also at the helm of the Shelly, I think, proves that this is a pretty serious pick. They really believe this is going to win, so we'll see how the execution turns out. Blue star already. Now they just got to sort of run it back, play defense now. I believe Shine on that Shelly will have a lot of defense potential as counter also picks up a kill, and they start to compound this lead that they already have.
Wow, Chepo just overrunning them right now, finally getting knocked out of the mech form. But Shine, of course, with the new Shelly rework, it's going to go from being kind of that normal speed tier brawler into what they call the very fast brawler. And then you add a speed gear in the mix, Shine is going to be sprinting up this map. 5-star lead here, Reconic Esports starting strong, and Shine popping that very pivotal clay pigeons as well. They're going to need to see Chepo get a mech as well if they want to do some serious damage again. But for now, they can slowly retreat, hold positioning, and with a minute left to go, they're going to find themselves with a pretty considerable lead.
Have to wonder, though, is this a choice to retreat? I almost feel like they would prefer to stay at mid, and Dog Walkers are slowly walking them backwards. Counter also going to take a lot of damage here. Big boom coming in. Shine not going to connect that super. Doesn't get the slow from Shell Shock. And now Dog Walkers are in the lead, but they're not backing up either. They want to keep this lead, and they want to turn it into double at minimum. Chepo is going to get those first bits of damage up the left side. Charles is ready with a whole lot of damage on his side, too. Chepo popping the gadget to have a bit more resilience. Take down onto Shine. Counter almost soon to follow. And Chepo has to stay in this position if he wants to afford enough room for Raconic Esports NA to keep pushing up and somehow take back the lead that Dog Walkers have accrued.
It's only going to get tougher, too, as Shine's going to run out of long-range options without gadgets. 12 seconds to go. Counter pushing forward. Shields all around on this right-hand side. Pickup. Chepo gets one, but it's right back there, too. Still 8-7. Throwing down the walls, getting rid of them instantly, though, with the respawn. Everybody in a corner. Everybody needs to hit some shots.
I also don't know why they thought it was going to work either. I haven't really seen it make any major plays. There are other ways to deal with tanks, things that get up close. There are other stuns that are available to you besides Shelly. We'll see if Raconic Esports NA are able to make use of it this time. So far, Chino rotates onto this lane. There's pretty much no counterplay for Shine, so he has to go to a different lane himself. Raconic Esports get that blue star. Chepo still needs to stay alive to hang on to it. He's also got a lot of range to work with to get that mech back, but he doesn't have as much resilience.
Now he's just able to kind of hang out here, too. Counter trying to craft this map the way he wants it to be. Chepo, no mech form, but can just kind of sprint forward against Patchy, who does throw down the Grom Bomb, but Chepo manages to stay alive just in the nick of time.
Whoa.
Charles had something different to say about that, though. A huge shutdown right there, and now a lead for Dog Walkers.
And now Raconic Esports NA are forced to play aggro. If having Shine on that Shelly, which relies on playing aggressive, was not already a problem enough, they're getting taken down as Dog Walkers play a pretty mean defense. Chep on the right side also taking a bunch of damage, still staying alive, has that swipe at the ready, but I don't think he's going to be getting that close to anyone, especially with Patchy consistently holding things back on the right lane.
I think we're going to need to see Chepo do even more here, especially when you're playing Meg. That's a big momentum brawler, a very powerful one at that, so it needs to be leading the way for the team, just like Counter did there. Goodness, a lot of hit shots there, still down a blue star, but dragging them ever so much closer. Now Chepo might be making his move here, does have that super in hand. Counter gets another pickup in lane win. 2 stars now in favor for Raconic Esports NA.
Dog Walker's gotta get a kill somewhere, and within 20 seconds, it's really kind of the magic number in Bounty. You can start running all the way back to your spawn and have just enough time to run out the clock without getting too dangerously close to enemies. Chepo's taking a lot of damage, though, and we'll see Patchy has that Grom Bomb. He needs a combo, though. This might be the perfect time. Here it comes. Shine, take it down. Dog Walker swing it back with 1 second left on the clock. A blue... Oh, no doubt, especially towards those backlines at the end of the game. You saw just how valuable that was, clutching things up and having the combo ready. Could see it appear also on Knockout as we head into Flaring Phoenix for the very next set. Definitely got to be considering some of the throwers here. Grom, Sprout, always in the discussion. Even Barley is worthy of discussion here, but more importantly, some of the mid-brawlers, right? We see a lot of Gene here, scout out those bushes. Dog Walker say, yeah, none of that, but Raconic, once again, with a Meg first pick, it didn't make it work that first time. Chepo did get some really good positioning with it, though, so maybe they're hoping to make that happen again.
No surprise, it's going to be Meg once again. Our very, very similar drafts going down as always. RT, a common culprit of showing up in the ban and pick phase. Just everybody kind of playing the same grouping of brawlers, it feels like. But there's a reason why, right? It works. Meg is somebody that now is even showing up in Knockout. And now we get to see a flare of what we saw in our last map. It's going to be Sprout showing up here this time. It's going to be the Dog Walker's choice of thrower, though.
And you say no surprises here, and I think really this forces Raconic Esports' hand where they have to go for a thrower. Now, Grom luckily is open. This might be the brawler they select. There's still some other options. Tick is out of the question, though, so Barley is really the only other option they can go with, except for Willow, which I see being is not really too safe of a pick. They also need to consider what Dog Walkers could go for as their final selection, not choose something too vulnerable. Yeah, here's the Grom, as predicted. It's much of the same. We see 3 of the same brawlers that we already saw in the last set. It's just a symptom of the current meta, too.
Yeah, I mean, both are pretty solid at what they do, too. Sprout's somebody that can drop that wall, really put your teammates in some uncomfortable positions. Meanwhile, Grom, again, we saw in that last one, has such a powerful super, especially as the fog starts to close in and that green smoke gets closer and closer. Keep in mind, it does so much damage. So if you have a big, open, wide Grom bomb, there's nowhere to dodge. It's just free shots for you and your teammates. So the in-game situation, definitely going to be keeping an eye on that. But Pam, somebody we don't get to see all the time, but whenever I see it, I feel like it usually impresses.
This is true. I mean, you're able to get some good value with that super as long as you place behind a wall, which, yeah, they're here on Flaring Phoenix, and a couple of them are indestructible, which is, I think, where Pam is going to be setting her sights mainly. Until then, it's all about getting that super charged up without charging enemy supers too much. And this is where I think Charles will actually get a lot of value in that 1v1 matchup. Amber selection from Dogwalkers, we've talked about it. We've seen it all day long, how good it can be for getting free wall break, or, well, I guess bush break more specifically. We'll see it probably run up one of these lanes, get that Scorch and Siphon active and ready, super down the middle, and eliminate a lot of enemy cover.
Yeah, I think the more time that goes on, obviously we're very fresh in the new balance changes and these new maps showing up in competitive, but this just seems like a really solid spot for Amber. There's bushes that she can burn up and open. So back when this map was originally in the map pool, she was already prevalent, but now she gets a little bit of an upgrade, right? You get slowed down if you step into the gasoline, which is very difficult when you only get 1 life per game. I think that's a sneaky last pick there for Charles and his teammates.
Well, let's see if he's able to execute on it. So far, he does have that Scorch and Siphon down. It is sitting quite far back. Well, thumbs up there, too. He's slowly charging up his super. There are a few places he could put it, too. Really more just a couple. That mid area on the left side or on the right. Shine still trying to farm up this super. Nothing important just yet. Charles has that super on the right side, and it pretty much forces Chepo to switch positions. He's not able to play this effectively. Is kind of considering maybe playing this lane, but doesn't want to do it as he not only gets slowed down, but will get burned too. Hedge on the left side. It's a good outlook for the Dogwalkers.
Gino clearly not wanting them to walk up this mid area, and Charles just throwing down the gasoline. It's really going to slow down enemies. So the more time that goes on that he doesn't burn up, which I think that little check mark on the right-hand side indicates that he's probably not looking to do that yet. Finally taking down the mech. Shine getting burned up a little bit. His entire right-hand side is going to be very tough. Scrap Sucker going down. Charles cleaning up. Left side kill as well. Dogwalkers in beautiful positioning as counter throws away the round.
And he tried to deny that super to Chino, but he managed to get it back in the last second there. And he doesn't have any gadgets left, so it was very important that he recovered that at the end of the round. He'll be able to block off this left lane if he wants versus Shine. There it is. Chepo occupying mid this time in counter, going for the lane switch on a right. Patchy does have this super if someone gets real close to him. Not likely to happen. Chepo also defending on the left side. Big stuff for Reconic as they now find themselves in a 3v2, a very winnable matchup.
Yeah, and Patchy just looking to get real aggressive here. I think maybe just going for a super, not really wanting to deal with this 3v2 situation, and just doing his best to get some shots on the board. Charles slowly just going to back it up, doing his best to charge up a super of his own. I think he did squeeze one in there as well to hold on to. So Charles going to have one here. Patchy now generates one as well. This is going to be a solid start here for Dogwalkers. 1-1 overall. Next round takes the game.
Another lane switch, too, from the Dogwalkers. They look to get a slight advantage here. Chepo getting very aggressive on the left side, healing up with the gadget in the process. Charles is forced to back up, actually. He doesn't want to burn up his own bushes, and he's also forced away from that last gadget that he threw down over there. It's not good for him. It's going to be tough for him to earn that super back. Meanwhile, on the right side, Chino's blocking things off versus Counter, who has his super. He has that survivability in overtime as that poison starts to close in, which is probably not too far off at this point. Some slowing at mid too as Charles has covered it in a lot of oil. Reconic Esports in A pose no distinct advantage here.
Yeah, this is tough, right? And I think health points matter a lot as this match starts to go on. Pam, a very beefy brawler. Chepo, if he can get back in that mech form, going to add about 6k plus HP to their side as well. And Counter has that super charged up. Charles releasing one of his own. No connection there from the Grom Bomb, though. That's going to be huge as this goes forward. Patchy does have his super available as well if he wants to take on the Jackie positioning. Gino going to need some serious dodges. Chepo squeezes in a mech as well, and here comes the big beetle charging down the map. Gino all alone going to...
They looked indestructible at some points. Had to commend the Dogwalkers for some of their interactions too, but it looked like it worked really well for just that very first round. Then Raconic Esports NA started to wisen up to what are the optimal matchups, and then started to get the win from there. We see Chepo trying to rush down Chino around the left side, though, and, well, Chino and Patchy had this in recent memory. They're not going to let that happen again. Meanwhile, though, Charles falls on the right side in a 1v2, and it's a great start for Raconic Esports NA.
Raconic really showing what they've got right now. I think this Pam Scrapsucker matchup into Amber is one to definitely keep our eyes on, too. That gadget can really just take away from Amber, as her reload is, after all, a little bit different than most brawlers. It's more like one continuous reloading shot rather than somebody like Chino or RT that get 3. It's a very different play style, so I think that was a really smart pick from them as well, and maybe even an added benefit of picking that Pam.
Pam also looking to accumulate that super towards the end of this round. Chino and Patchy hunkering down. Could be the super coming in soon. Could block off counter. No, take down with the use of the Grom Bomb. Patchy barely alive, and there's just no winning this round. They're going to have to forfeit it for now, walk into that gas, and restart for the next one. Raconic Esports NA managed to make it away with, well, a Meg super. Not that important. Big question is how close are they to that Grom Bomb and that healing turret once again. Patchy also is going to be shifting onto this lane on the left side, affording Chino the opportunity to push over to the right. It's much more optimal for Dogwalkers to have this lane layout.
Charles is going to need a super here. Does charge one up now. Trying to make this map the way they want it to be. They've got the sprout walls. They've got the gasoline touching the ground. And Chino going to do even one better. Pushes Pam all the way back. Thankfully, counter can still lob up some shots over these indestructible walls, but not easy by any means, as Chepo has no easy firing lane. Chino cycles in yet another one, and Patchy's able to march down this left-hand lane.
No kills just yet, though. Charles is probably setting up for the first one. Counter actually has a huge amount of KO potential. If he gets Chino hit just once, he can knock him out with his super. Chino also just looking for that next super. Could block things out. Chepo in close range could get taken down. Patchy, no, not able to get that final shot. Never mind, taken down. Burn on the right side. Shine falls. And Dogwalker's still got a horse in this race. They tie up the game score with 1 round apiece.
Raconic Esports could be holding their breath here. A big takeaway in this next round would allow them to tie up the leaderboard. Otherwise, they may be facing a similar fate as last month if they're not careful. Charles now grouping up with the teammates, throwing down some more gasoline on the ground. Can start a wildfire at a moment's notice, and if not, can just slow down enemies' game positioning for teammates. The Amber Super's a huge role in why they could end up winning this.
They need to earn it back, though. I mean, they've already covered up so much of the map in the fire fuel. Charles rotates over to the left side. It's the only part not occupied by a bunch of oil. Patchy on the right side also occupying this lane, trying to keep Chepo back in this left pocket. Will be able to march forward quite a bit. Patchy's not able to react too amazingly. He will be able to pop Chepo out of the mech, though. It's a good development for them. Chino takes a lot of damage. Luckily for him, counter didn't have a super to get that last bit of damage. Takedown on the right. Chepo falls. This is a great look for the Dogwalkers. They just have to win this 3v2.
No easy way to walk it up either. Ooh, encounter just gonna have to toss it away. Dogwalkers tie.
Yes, it's the same brawlers for every single game within the set, but you still have these developments that can take place with predictions of who's on what lane and knowing, yes, we need to double things up here, we need to go for a pinch and things like that. And it's propelled Dogwalkers to having a real chance of taking this one back.
The reset as everybody's getting their footing underway. A bunch of tags going down. Everybody's going to want those supers, and Charles going to be the first to grab one here. He's going on his right-hand side playing against Shine. Again, watch out for that Scrapsucker gadget, but Charles can keep his distance and just kind of throw down the fire on the ground. It's not going to matter too much. Now Meg getting cut off here too. Sure, has a lot of HP, but if all the brawlers can line up shots, will be nice for them. Great recovery there from counter, I think, helping out the teammate too. And the Watchtower giving them a little extra visibility. Now it's actually Dogwalkers on their back foot.
And I'm not so certain about how they'll be able to bounce back from this. Charles will be able to get rid of the Watchtower at least. Takes a lot of damage along the way. Counter also going to fall from that fire. Good development for the Dogwalkers, but they're all forced back in the right side. Shine, no super. Chepo has one. A whole lot of health to work with as it's beamed down by Chino, Charles, and Patchy. He's completely blocked off. We'll get some pot shots in here. Shine tries to make a big play with the Mama Squeeze, but it's not enough. It's a round win for the Dogwalkers.
Ooh, that was a little closer to your call than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It looked really bad for Dogwalkers there for a moment, but the Amber Fuel gives them the kill that they need. Patchy goes into Jackie form and puts down some serious work. Man, that counter takedown there was really crucial for them on that last one. The Grom Bomb going down here instead now. I'm sure he would have wanted that in the last round and doesn't get the kill here either. Tough stuff for the side of Raconic, who started this set so strong.
They could still finish strong, but they're at a deficit at the moment. Chino and Charles on the right side combining forces. Hopefully Chino being able to get a more optimal matchup versus counter, as long as Charles is able to throw down some more fire fuel. He doesn't want to prevent himself from dealing damage on a lane by avoiding burning up too much. Will still be holding on to this and operating very, very carefully with it. Chepo also popped out of the mech on the left side with no shield in sight. Is huge for the Dogwalkers. As long as they can finish this off easily, they'll have a great chance of winning. Though a takedown onto Charles is not looking so hopeful for Dogwalkers.
And even when she's gone, Amber is going to be able to contribute a lot. It's going to be slowing down the enemies. Still a 2v1 situation regardless. Now 1v1, Scrap Sucker being popped. Patchy doing his best, but Shine keeps the distance and gets a strong kill there. 1-1 this round, determining our set winner.
Down to the wire here. Shine also has that super big amount of value for him and the team. He's probably not going to pop it until it provides him a lot of value. Could wait till overtime, could use it to push up effectively. Pushing up seems to be a bit more of Chepo's territory as he tries to do so versus Patchy. Getting tagged up effectively, almost actually shut out of that mech, which was devastating in the last round. Big stuff in from counter two with a Grom Bomb, but Patchy catches him off guard on the left side. Charles now in with that fire. Not enough to kill Pam there, but does get the takedown on the right side. Chepo also falls in turn. Round. Raconic Esports NA tried a lot of ways to deal with it. They tried every single other brawler on that lane, and sometimes it worked, but most of the time it didn't. It's a set win for them, and they have the wind at their backs heading into set number 3. 2-0 scoreline so far. Just got to get the win here on Gym Fort to end things in a lightning match.
It's another map where I'm looking out for Amber. I think Amber can be really strong on a map like this, and it's going to be Meg, the first pick overall regardless. Meg is somebody that's really powerful here too. We had the indestructible walls in the mix. It's a lot of control based and a similar start to what we had compared to our last draft as well. RT once again showing up. There's the Jessie again. It's something I mentioned a little bit earlier, but the new mythic gears that are coming in for the pets, her turret is considered one of those, so it can even get a little bit of a boost. Jessie was shown up here earlier in NA East as well, so I'm starting to see the vision for why Jessie shows up. And in addition to that too, Reddy, I mean, we've been around the game for a long time. This is something that used to be played in the olden days.
This is true, and she used to be a pretty strong counter pick to strong brawlers like Pam, which we've already seen Raconic Esports NA pick, so maybe they'll be reconsidering now. Patchy, of course, also big fan of the Jessie too. Have seen this guy play the Jessie before when she was weaker, and still tried to make it work there. So now that she's gotten a pretty significant buff here, it's going to be a huge development in how effective she is. Crow now on the side of Raconic, going to be shutting down any ideas of healing perhaps. Shine also having this Penny. Can't really argue with that. It's a favorite of the guy, and I hope to see him pop off on it. But Dogwalkers still have a counter pick that they can use.
They're going to get one more choice here in about 15 seconds to make a very important decision. The kinds of decisions that make or break a team. But thankfully, they're sitting comfortable, right? It's 2-0. We've seen these guys pull out some crazy picks before. I'm curious to see if they do anything interesting here. Nope. They just picked a really good new brawler that got a nice little rework. Amber, I think, is going to be a problem here again.
I mean, we've seen these brawlers picked repeatedly. We've seen Meg first pick every single set from Raconic Esports NA. We've seen the RT. We've seen the Amber a bunch too from the Dogwalkers. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think also China's going to provide so much value on these lanes. Not only is he able to burn up these bushes, but you can get some pretty good sneak attacks from those sides too. So I'm a little worried for Raconic Esports NA here. However, I will note that Dogwalkers picked Amber into Crow, and I'm now kind of starting to understand this is a big part of why that Crow was picked. Deal with the Amber. He's a known really hard counter. He's already rotating over to that right side. We'll see how Charles deals with it.
Yeah, Charles kicking things off here. Going to be taking on Chepo lane, like you mentioned. Crow, the one tasked with handling Amber. Meanwhile, RT dealing with the long left-hand side, but a big, beefy counter currently marching his way throughout the map. Chino with a good connecting few shots here, but Shine's going to be the first to set up a turret. I think going to be a very important factor here of which teams can get their supers first. If it's Jesse turrets and they can put down some summer shots from this Surfer, it's going to be a tough one, right? But instead, it's Penny that goes up first. Now they can apply the pressure, get some incendiary shots on the ground, and, well, it's complete control for Raconic.
Certainly is. Raconic Esports have been spawn trapping these guys. Dogwalker's probably having second thoughts about picking that Amber into the Crow, though they will be able to rotate lanes over. Charles trying to utilize this lane play, also take down Chepo, dead on arrival, but not really a loss of control for Raconic. We will see a gadget popped by Chino. A bit of value there with the pet gear also in play, but Shine still has all 10 of those gems. They can get a slow and steady retreat. It's an easy win for Raconic.
Yeah, just gotta survive these last few seconds. Chino, though, could line up a few shots here, do some work. There's one. Shine doing his best to dodge. No way. Oh, it was so close. But Shine ends up
immediately Amber onto Crow, and, well, the rest is history. We did see moments also where Charles tried to rush it down versus Mag on the lane, but he was going really, really aggressive. Counter was using his range to his advantage. Big stuff from Charles already, though. Already burning up some of those bushes, getting the ignition onto Counter, and a big pinch on the guy too, sends him packing. It's a 3v2, but Charles is also slowed down and taken down from the poison on the right. Good call from Chino, actually, getting a shot onto Chepo. He's going to get out of here with 3 gems. He could still get jumped on by Crow, though, as he finds himself pretty low and pinched on the left side.
I love this different approach coming in from Dogwalkers too. Sure, it hasn't worked necessarily so far, as Counter's going to be charging down the side, getting some big pickups, but they get aggressive in the mid. They try something different. Kind of the same result so far, though. It's still Raconic Esports in A, now with 7 gems in their hands in a clear lead here in game number 2.
Chino still might be able to circle around the right. Does get tagged up by that mortar a little bit. Charles also trying to utilize some of the slow to his advantage. Might be backing up just so that someone can rotate on their lane. No, actually, fire, burning down Counter. Looks like he will be able to survive through that, not popped out of the mech, so not too much value for the Dogwalkers. Dogwalkers will be able to push in, grab a couple of gems for themselves, Chino being the one carrying them. We'll see Patchy also try to make a move for the top side. Charles around the left, trying to burn up some more of those bushes from Counter. Bit of a misplay, though, as he wasn't able to get any value onto him. Chepo also jumping to the back right. Chino really, really low health. This could be a surrounding move from Raconic Esports in A. They engulf their enemies and look to get this one backed up. 10 gems headed straight for the respawn.
Shine once again going to be the ones in control of those gems and slowly backing it away. I don't think Chino's within striking distance this time. Raconic Esports make things up.
We're seeing precisely what the reason is.
Now we're going to move over to parallel plays. This is always a fun map to watch. I think it's something super dynamic and one of my favorite hot zone maps of all time, just because there's a lot of different strategies that you can make work here, right? Now we get some balance changes that shape things up a little bit. The draft always makes things a little spicy. I'm sure we'll see some of the similar brawlers we've seen earlier, right? I'm sure Amber is going to make her way into the ban stage or the play stage, and I'm sure Meg will do the same. I mean, it's been the first overall pick, what, 3 times in a row now? So we'll see if anybody wisens up, bans it out. Looks like they do. Dogwalkers are about done with the Meg.
Yeah, so long, Meg, but hello, Penny. Once again, we saw how dominant she was in the last game, and might carry on to this one. Another Amber selection from the Dogwalkers, though this one has more depth to it. Keep in mind also the double Crow ban. No more of that action. It was definitely recognized on the side of Dogwalkers that we do not want to play the Amber into the Crow, but also they do really want to play this Amber. There's, like I said, also, sort of repeating myself here, but more history beyond this. Last time Parallel Plays was in competitive rotation, Amber was one of the top picks, so I think that this one is pretty solid on this map.
Yeah, Amber makes a lot of sense to me here too, and I honestly don't mind the belt either. You get the nest egg so you can trip opponents, give yourself some more lane control, has that long distance, and with the bounce shots getting in there too, can definitely help the team out. So Bell, historically, somebody that's definitely shown up here quite a bit. We also know that the Dogwalkers can certainly play that brawler, but on the other side, we get a much more aggressive brawler. We get Stu. This is kind of the X factor that I look for in compositions. If you can pop off with the Stu, odds are your team's probably winning, but if it's not, it can sometimes hold you back. So we're gonna have to see Counter or whoever ends up playing this brawler for Raconic Esports do a really good job here, or things could fall apart.
I'll tell you this right here and now for free, that's gotta be the Shine Stu. Shine loves this brawler, and he's pretty darn good at it too, so it would shock me if anyone else were playing it. We'll see what the response is from Dogwalkers, because there are ample counters to Stu available. I think Colonel Refs is one that comes to mind. Keep in mind, though, that Chepo is playing a brawler that can slice right through those quite easily. Same exact thing could be said for Penny with her piercing damage, so Dogwalkers will have to get a little bit more crafty with how they plan on dealing with the Stu. It also rules out, never mind, I was going to say it rules out tanks, but they're just going to do it anyway.
Look, the Dogwalkers are going to do what the Dogwalkers want to do. It is what it is, right? And I think they're a very, very strong team to try and run this tankier composition. This is going to be kind of that aggressive factor that somebody like Stu brings to the table, just not with as much HP, right? They're going to be trying to get Sam, I'm assuming, to play a more offensive role. They could have him sprint down that right-hand side. I could totally see Patchy kind of helping out a little bit of just about anywhere too. But I think Amber could be some serious defensive measures here, especially with the way that the fuel that she fires on the ground now works. You can slow down enemies, you can just keep it on the ground and really cut some people off. It's going to make it much harder for Stu to skate on this map.
Yeah, well, now we just got to see how exactly it operates in practice. We get right into it already, positioning on some of these zones. Capture that home zone first, and then play aggro for the enemy zone. With some of these indestructible walls in place too, it's going to mean that Patchy actually has pretty much free reign over the left side. Counter still trying to get something versus Charles. He'll get that takedown. Maybe now focusing on Chino as Patchy completely shifts gears over to the right side for a bit of free capture. Takedown with the use of the super. Now just play sort of the survival game, as Chepo can hit him around these walls, but still gets stunned out. There's just nothing shutting this guy down.
Patchy might be the most skilled ring around the Brosies player I've ever seen in my life. He's just dominating this upper right-hand side, which is a big factor, especially in this. It's easier to get your own home base, but Patchy is tracked to the other side and still can't take him down. He's 1v2ing, 1v3, finally hits the floor and goes back to the spawn, but Dogwalkers do a ton of chip damage onto that hot zone. They're forced to play some defense, but a lot of work cut out for Rakonic here ahead of them.
Man, when it comes to taking down Patchy, it really does take a village, or maybe actually just a duo in this circumstance. Patchy got very aggressive there and ultimately paid the price. That was his final gadget as well, so maybe he'll be able to make use of it as we head into the later stage of the game. Dogwalkers are now dipping below that 20% left to capture, with Chino and Charles now storming the point with Chepo left to pick up the pieces. It's not looking too optimal. Counter doesn't even have a super to push in initially. He might get it for free, but Dogwalkers continue to accumulate things.
Yeah, now Patchy might have enough HP just to walk this forward. He's just sprinting up. 6% is all they need. Okay, Chepo cleans it up quick. They still give up a percentage, but Shine's going to have to tag down on this left-hand hot zone here the rest of the game, and Chepo and Counter are going to have to defend it against Patchy this whole time. Here he comes sprinting up once again, slowly recharging with his super as well. Just a few more percentage points, and he goes down. There might be an opportunity.
They gotta address Shine on the left side, but they don't really seem too focused on it. They're trying to take down Chepo and Counter to open up this avenue for Patchy. Big super in. Patchy is superless, and Charles tries to take down Shine. No, just at the edge of his range. Shine's gotta get this takedown. Counter now dashing back and forth in the
a really good pick. I totally see why they do this. No real direct answer. He can just kind of overwhelm them with his bulkiness and even gain some of his HP back at times. But right there, they just got beat on defense. Rakonic staying at disciplined and not giving up. A huge opportunity they've now found for themselves, and Dogwalkers now going to win 2 straight if they want an opportunity at this grand finals.
Well, Patchy's got to heal up over here. We're dealing with Counter. He's also burning too. Goes for that final bit of destruction. Will stay alive. Even gets to pick up the Knuckle Busters afterwards for a bit more of a boost of HP. Chepo taken down. Chino and Charles firmly on defense. Much different approach from the Dogwalkers this time. Going straight towards Rakonic's zone. Going for that spawn trap. Much different from what we saw in the last game. But now actually we'll see shifting gears. Patchy going for that bottom left zone to accelerate the path to victory for Dogwalkers.
Chepo in a tailspin, taking down one brawler, going for a second. It's a trade, but ultimately a winning of lanes for Rakonic Esports. This is pretty close right now. In terms of percentage points, it looks pretty even. However, Dogwalkers have claimed quite a bit of territory on that right-hand side. So as they start to hunker down and Patchy claims his own, it's going to really show how much of a lead I think they have. But Chepo doing a great job once again. The super's paying off for Carl. They clean up Patchy here too. Chepo now responding once again. Rakonic Esports could be on the way to another comeback.
Very much could. Counter is burned up, but he's not going to get taken down just yet. Good tank there with the speed zone. It was final one, though. Has no more gadgets left to spare. Chepo forced to move over to the right side, and he'll try and get some good damage in versus Patchy, and will be able to capture some of this point as well. But a 2v3 is what awaits him on the other side. Raconic Esports in A. Gotta get Charles and Chino off this point. Chepo tries his best.
Playing too well there. They couldn't make the comeback this time. Their first one was heroic, and it's going to take some similar heroics here in game number 3 if they want to drag this on to a 5th set. Last month, Dog Walkers didn't drop a single one. They've already taken one off them from the board. If they do it again, would be something else.
Well, Patchy's going to get a first takedown around the left side. Counter falls as a result. Chepo also all the way back. Charles could get that takedown nice and easy. There it is. Burn onto Shine. We'll have to make him play a lot more defensively. Patchy still moving over to this right side. Counter trying to contest him, but it's not really going so well. Never mind, actually, he's more focused on getting towards this enemy capture zone. Patchy might be able to dispel him. Counter gets a bit more damage in here. Slowed down, mutually assured destruction. But Raconic Esports and A do boast the advantage for now.
Chepo trying to get a nice flank here too. A little flying hook. Chino, though, hitting some serious shots right now. Another nest egg tripping up Chepo. A kill as well as Charles cleans up alongside him. And now 3 Dog Walkers standing tall, standing strong as Shine claims his own side. But it's Chino doing some serious chip damage. And once again, here comes Chepo. Here comes Counter. Patchy has a lot on his hands as Counter is just going to be circling around him. Still staying alive, though. It's Patchy who ends up getting a huge defensive stop here. And now the Dog Walkers can march it on forward.
The rest of the Dog Walkers come to the rescue here to try and finish out this match point, but it's not looking super hopeful. Raconic Esports and A are just 13% away from capturing the whole thing and pushing us into a set number 5. Counter being eliminated on the right side, though, does pose some good moves for the Dog Walkers as they've inched a bit closer. 13% separates these two. Shine now with the turret down on the right side, firing cross map at Charles. He's got another thing to deal with here, and Chepo is just adding to that number. Takedown from Patchy, and a good reaction, but Raconic Esports NA got 3% off of that. They still have to be careful watching that right capture zone as Patchy is just going to town.
Raconic still holding strong on defense here. Another penny turret touching the ground. It's going to make things harder for Chino, Charles, and Patchy here, but he's got a lot of HP to work with. He's doing something about it. Pops the gadget as well. Misconnects the super, though, and now Counter going to fall as well. Chepo, Shine trying to hold on as long as they can. Here comes the tailspin as well. Chepo getting a pickup, and they got to do so once again, cycling out life after life, but it's Patchy once again fighting his way up the right. Shine, nevertheless, gets the takedown.
Shine's playing some serious defense on this right side. He's still going to be watchful of that slowing oil. Patchy has no gadgets left. He has no way to get really in close, proper range with Shine. He's also trying to bait out some of these shots onto the salty barrel. Here could come a big move. Shine now with a knockback, pushes Patchy back, but he keeps on healing. It's Shine versus the world. Dog Walkers could finish it out here. The spins are out. 10 seconds remain. Raconic Esports could bring it back, but the healing is just there, and Dog Walkers take the win. They take the match, and they're going on to the grand finals.
Oh, it was so close, but ultimately, Dog Walkers once again getting the job done. Certainly a stronger month from the Raconic Esports fellas. A lot more impressed with what we saw, and they nearly drug it to a 5th and final set. But not this time. Dog Walkers versus STMN happening for a 3rd month in a row.